birthday, every gift bag at the table had someone else's name on it. Not literally. The tags were written to me, cream cards tied with curling ribbon, my name in my mother's careful loops, my sister's rushed slant, my aunt's big round letters that always looked cheerful even when the message inside was not. Anyone walking past the table would have thought I was loved in abundance. There were 12 bags by the time dessert arrived. Pale yellow tissue paper, soft gray boxes. One basket wrapped in cellophane with a silver bow big enough to block the salt shaker. And every single one was for the baby. I was 7 months pregnant, 35 years old, and sitting at the end of a long table in a little Italian restaurant where the candles came in red glass cups and the waiter called everyone sweetheart. It was supposed to be my birthday dinner, not a shower, not a registry party, not a family meeting about nursery supplies. My birthday. I had said that so many times before the night that I started to feel silly for needing to say it. Nothing big, I told my husband Daniel 2 weeks earlier. I do not have the energy for big. I just want dinner somewhere quiet, lemon cake if they have it, and one evening where nobody asks me about stroller wheels. Daniel understood, or I thought he did. He put both hands on my shoulders in the kitchen and said, "You are still allowed to have a birthday." I laughed because it sounded obvious, but it did not feel obvious anymore. Pregnancy had turned me into public property in a way I did not know how to explain without sounding dramatic. Strangers asked what I was having before they asked my name. Coworkers who had never cared what I ate suddenly inspected my lunch. My mother called every other day with advice that began as concern and ended as correction. My sister sent articles with subject lines like, "You need this," and then got annoyed if I did not respond fast enough. Even the nice attention had started to feel less like affection and more like inventory. How are you sleeping? Are you walking enough? Did you order the crib? Are you sure about that paint color? Are you taking the right vitamins? Is the baby moving? Is the baby measuring? Is the baby ready? Nobody asked if I was ready in a way that meant me, and not the room, the bag, the bottles, the folded towels, the documents, the checklist. I knew people were excited. I was excited too. I had wanted this child. I had cried in the bathroom when the second line appeared. I had saved the first tiny ultrasound photo in a drawer beside my passport, because both felt like proof that a future was coming. But wanting the baby did not mean I had stopped being Mara. That was the part everyone seemed to skip. So when Daniel asked what I wanted for my birthday, I was careful. I did not ask for a weekend away because my back hurt if I sat in a car too long. I did not ask for a party because noise made me tired. I did not ask for jewelry or anything expensive, because we had already spent enough money getting ready for a new person to arrive. I asked for dinner at Bellino's because it was 10 minutes from home, had comfortable chairs, and made a lemon olive oil cake I had been thinking about since March. And gifts? Daniel asked. Honestly, I said, something for me. It can be tiny, a candle, a book, that hand cream I like. I just want to open one thing that is not about being someone's mother. He nodded like he understood that too. The night of the dinner, I wore a green dress because it still fit, and because Daniel said it made my eyes look bright. I curled my hair even though my arms got tired halfway through. I put on earrings I had not worn in months. For the first time in a long time, I looked in the mirror and saw myself before I saw the bump. "There you are," I whispered. It embarrassed me after I said it, so I pretended I hadn't. At the restaurant, my family was already there when we arrived. My parents, my sister Elise and her husband, my aunt June, 2 cousins, my closest friend Priya from work, who had driven across town after a double shift and looked more exhausted than I felt. Everyone clapped when I walked in. My mother cried because she cries when attention is arranged properly. My sister rubbed my stomach before she hugged me. "Birthday girl," she said, then immediately bent down and added, "and little passenger." I smiled because it was easier than correcting her in the doorway. The first half of dinner was almost perfect. Daniel ordered sparkling lemonade for the table. My father told the same story he told every year about me refusing to share birthday cupcakes in kindergarten because, according to 5-year-old me, guests were supposed to bring their own enthusiasm. Priya gave me a card under the table before the appetizers came and whispered, "Open it later. It is not baby-related, I promise." I squeezed her hand so hard, she laughed. For a while, I let myself relax. Then the gifts came out. At first, I was touched. My aunt pushed the big silver bow basket toward me and said, Start with this one. I had the best time putting it together. Inside were little rolled washcloths, a thermometer, 2 pacifiers, baby shampoo, a hooded towel shaped like a duck, and a pack of soft yellow socks so small they looked like props. Everyone made the appropriate noises. Oh, those are adorable. Look at the little feet. You will need so many washcloths. I smiled because it was a kind gift. It was useful. It was generous. My aunt had spent time on it. I thanked her and meant it. The second gift was from my parents. A baby monitor. Top rated, my father said proudly. Your mother researched for 3 days. It has night vision, my mother added. And breathing alerts. I read all the reviews. I thanked them too. I meant that as well. The monitor was not cheap. It would help. It was a thoughtful thing for future us, for the anxious nights coming, for the person we had not met yet but already loved. The third gift was a set of bottles from Elise. The fourth was a stack of board books from my cousins. The fifth was a diaper subscription card. The sixth was a tiny cardigan. The seventh was a white noise machine shaped like a cloud. By the eighth, something in my face had gone still. I knew because Priya noticed. She was sitting 2 seats away, blocked from the rest of the table by the silver bow basket, and her smile faded before mine did. She looked at the unopened bags, then at me, then down at the card she had slipped into her purse. Daniel noticed too, but too late. I saw his eyes move across the table, counting what I had already counted. Baby, 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 baby. Every bag, every box, every cheerful bit of tissue paper was another small announcement that the birthday dinner had changed categories without anyone telling me. The ninth gift was from my mother again, because she had found just one more little thing. It was a framed print for the nursery. A moon and stars. Under it, in looping script, were the words, "You are our whole world." Everyone sighed. I stared at the print until the letters blurred. You are our whole world. I knew who the you was. It was not me. My mother must have seen something on my face then, because her mouth tightened. She leaned close and said quietly, "Don't start." That was when I understood she already knew. She knew this might hurt me. She had known before I opened the first bag. Maybe everyone had. Maybe they had talked about it in the family chat I was not in, the one that became more active whenever people were planning something for me, but not asking me. Maybe someone had said, "Should we get Mara something for herself?" And someone else had said, "The baby stuff is for her too." Maybe that was what bothered me most. Not that they forgot, that they had decided. I set the nursery print back in its bag carefully. "Thank you," I said. My voice came out soft enough that the waiter, passing behind me with a tray of pasta, looked down like he had heard glass crack. My sister gave a little laugh. "You sound thrilled." I looked at her. "I am grateful," I said. "That is not the same thing." The table went quiet, in the particular way family tables go quiet, when everyone wants the person who named the problem to become responsible for having created it. Daniel put his hand on my knee under the table. Not a warning, an apology. I could feel it in the pressure of his fingers. My mother folded her napkin. "Mara, these are beautiful gifts." "I know. People went out of their way." "I know." "Then what is the face for?" There it was. The face. Not the facts. Not the pile of unopened proof. The face. My expression had become the offense. I looked around the table at the soft bags and boxes, at the duck towel and cloud machine and moon print, at all the love aimed 6 inches in front of me. "I think I just expected one thing that was for my birthday," I said. My sister blinked like I had said something obscene. "All of this is for you. It is for the baby, which is your baby." "Yes," I said, "but I am still a person." Nobody moved. That sentence sat in the middle of the table like a dropped utensil. My Aunt June looked down at her hands. My father stared at the candle. Priya's eyes filled with tears, which made mine threaten to do the same, and I hated that because once a pregnant woman cries, people stop hearing words and start hearing hormones. My mother sighed. It was a small sound, but it had 20 years of training inside it. "No one is saying you are not a person." "Then why did no one bring me a birthday present?" I asked it plainly. Not loudly, not bitterly, just plainly enough that the table had to answer the actual question. No one did. My sister recovered first. "Are you seriously complaining about receiving expensive, useful things?" I am saying it hurt that my birthday became a baby shower. It did not become a baby shower. I glanced at the basket, at the monitor, at the bottles, at the diapers, at the nursery print. Elise followed my eyes and flushed. Fine, but people are excited. You cannot punish people for being excited. That line almost worked on me. It would have worked a year earlier. I was raised to be easy about disappointment, to fold hurt into understanding before anyone had to see it. My mother believed gratitude was a room you entered by leaving your preferences outside. Elise believed conflict ended when the more sensitive person apologized for noticing it. But something about the tiny socks on the table kept me anchored. They were so small, so loved, so undeniably not mine. I am not punishing anyone, I said. I am telling you I felt invisible. My mother pushed her chair back slightly. Invisible, she repeated, and somehow made it sound like a performance. Daniel finally spoke. Carol, I think she is allowed to feel that. My mother turned on him with relief because husbands are often easier targets than daughters who have accidentally grown spines. Do not encourage this. She is about to have a child. She needs to learn that not everything revolves around her. There it was again. The strange logic that being a mother meant I had to practice disappearing early. I looked at Daniel, and his face had gone pale, not because he disagreed with me, but because he had missed it too. He had bought me a gift. I knew because he was bad at hiding packages, and because 2 days earlier I had seen a bookstore receipt on his desk. He had assumed the family would do what families do at birthdays. He had assumed there would be balance. So had I. Assumptions are quiet until they break. The waiter came with the lemon cake then, one slice with a candle, because I had said no singing. The timing was so terrible it became almost funny. He set it in front of me with a practiced smile, noticed the silence, and retreated like a man backing out of a room where a dog might bite. The candle flame leaned toward me. Make a wish, my father said weakly. I looked at the cake. For weeks I had wanted that cake. I had imagined the bright, sweet bite of it, the powdered sugar, the small dignity of eating something I chose simply because I liked it. Now the plate looked like evidence at a trial nobody wanted to hold. I blew out the candle. I wished to stop feeling guilty for being hurt. After dinner, my mother did not hug me goodbye. She kissed the air beside my cheek and said, I hope when you calm down you realize how blessed you are. Elise sent me a text before we reached the car. That was embarrassing. Mom is crying. You made everyone feel awful for being generous. I sat in the passenger seat and read it twice. Then I locked my phone and placed it face down in my lap. Daniel started the car but did not pull out. I am sorry, he said. I watched the restaurant windows. Inside, a busser was clearing the table. The silver bow basket was gone because Daniel had made 3 trips to load the gifts into the trunk. From the sidewalk, it looked like a successful birthday. Family gathered, presents opened, cake eaten, everyone alive, and polite enough to leave no broken plates behind. Did I sound ungrateful? I asked. Daniel turned toward me. No, be honest. I am. I nodded, but the question had already gotten inside me. That is the thing about being called ungrateful by someone who taught you gratitude. The accusation knows where to land. It knows which drawers to open. It finds the old version of you who apologized for needing anything and says, see, this is why we keep quiet. At home, Daniel carried the gifts into the nursery corner of our second bedroom. We had not assembled the crib yet. The walls were still bare except for paint samples taped near the closet. He set the bags down gently, one by one, like they might accuse him too. I took Priya's card from my purse. Inside was a bookstore gift card and a note written in blue pen. Mara, for after the baby is asleep, or before, or whenever you remember that your mind is still yours. Buy something with no parenting advice in it. Happy birthday to my friend, not to a roll. I sat on the floor and cried, so suddenly Daniel dropped the diaper subscription envelope. He sat beside me without touching me first. I should have checked, he said. You could not have known. You told me exactly what you were afraid of. That was true, and the truth made me tired. He took the card when I handed it to him. He read it and rubbed his eyes. Tomorrow, he said, I am taking you to the bookstore. Then I am calling my sister to ask if she can come over this weekend and help me organize all of this, because you are not spending your birthday week sorting gifts that made you cry. I wanted that to fix everything. It did not. but it made a small light turn on. The next morning, I woke to 5 missed calls from my mother and a text long enough to require scrolling. It began with, "I have been thinking." For one hopeful second, I thought she meant thinking about me. She did not. She wrote that motherhood required sacrifice. She wrote that no one owed adults presents. She wrote that many women would be thrilled to receive such helpful items. She wrote that my attitude had put a shadow over a beautiful evening. She wrote that Elise had cried after I left. She wrote that if I was this sensitive now, she worried about how I would handle the baby. Then came the sentence that made my hands go cold. "You need to understand that from now on, the baby comes first." I read it 3 times. Then I wrote back one sentence. "The baby can come first without everyone pretending I no longer exist." I did not send it immediately. I stared at it while Daniel made coffee. I wondered if it was too sharp. I wondered if I should add hearts. I wondered if I should thank her again for the monitor so she would know I was not the kind of daughter who forgot the price of things. Then I thought about the table. I thought about the moon print. "You are our whole world." I sent the sentence exactly as it was. My mother did not respond for 6 hours. Elise did, though. Wow. "Still making it about you." I laughed when I read that, which surprised me. Not because it was funny, because it was so complete. The proof had become almost clean. If I said I felt erased, that was selfish. If I asked for one birthday gift, that was greedy. If I wanted to be seen alongside my child, that was me refusing to let the child matter. There was no version of needing tenderness that they would not rename as ego. That realization hurt, but it also simplified something. I did not answer Elise. Instead, I opened a note on my phone and wrote 2 lists. The first list was called Things I Am Grateful For. The baby monitor, the washcloths, the bottles, the books, the diapers, the tiny cardigan, my aunt's time, my father's research, the fact that the baby was already loved, Daniel's apology, Priya's card, lemon cake, even though I barely tasted it. The second list was called Things That Still Hurt. No one brought a gift for me except Priya and Daniel. My mother knew enough to tell me not to start. My sister treated my sadness like an accusation against her. Everyone defended the gifts before anyone asked what I felt. The nursery prince said the baby was their whole world, and for one night, it was true in the worst way. I looked at both lists side by side. They could both exist. That became the sentence I held on to for the rest of the week. Both things can be true. I can be grateful, and I can be hurt. I can love my child, and I can miss being seen. I can accept help, and I can reject erasure. I can become a mother without becoming a hallway everyone walks through to reach the baby. On Saturday, Daniel took me to the bookstore. I bought a novel with a ridiculous cover, a book of essays, and a mystery set in a hotel during a snowstorm. Nothing about sleep schedules, nothing about feeding, nothing about milestones except fictional murder clues. Then we went to Bellino's again, because Daniel had called ahead and asked if they would sell him a whole lemon cake. The manager wrote, "Happy Birthday Mara" on the box. I cried in the parking lot, but this time it was not because I felt invisible. It was because my name looked so ordinary and so necessary in dark chocolate letters. That evening, my mother called. I almost let it go to voicemail. Daniel looked at me from the sink where he was washing strawberries and said, "You do not have to answer." I knew that. I answered anyway because I wanted to hear what she would do with a day of silence. She began with, "I do not want tension before the baby comes." Not "I'm sorry," not "I understand." Tension, as if tension were weather, not consequence. "Neither do I," I said. "Good, then can we move past this?" I looked at the cake box on the counter. My name was still visible through the plastic window. "I can move forward," I said, "but I need you to understand what happened." She exhaled. "Mara." "No," I said, and the words startled both of us. "I am not asking you to agree with every feeling I had. I am asking you not to call me ungrateful, because I noticed that my birthday gifts were not for me. They were for your household. They were for the baby. The baby is part of you. The baby is connected to me," I said. "The baby is not a replacement for me." Silence. I could hear her television in the background, some game show, applause on a delay. "You will understand when you are a mother," she said finally. For the first time, that sentence did not shrink me. It made me sad for her, because maybe she had been taught the same thing. Maybe someone had celebrated her usefulness until she mistook disappearance for maturity. Maybe she truly believed motherhood was a door that locked from the outside. But understanding where a wound came from did not mean I had to pass it forward. I hope I understand something different, I said. She did not like that. I heard it in the way she said my name again, clipped and tired. I am going to go, I said. We can talk another day. So now you are punishing me. No, I am ending a conversation that keeps hurting me. I hung up before she could teach me another word for boundary. Afterward, my hands shook. Daniel dried them with the dish towel, even though they were not wet. That was good, he said. It did not feel good. Good and easy are not the same. I wanted to hate that because it sounded like something from a mug, but it was true. Over the next week, the story moved through the family in fragments. My aunt texted first. She said she had been thinking about the basket and realized she had gotten carried away. She said she was sorry she had not brought something just for me. She mailed a scarf 2 days later, soft blue wool, even though it was August, with a note that said, "For the woman holding everyone." My father called from the grocery store and asked what kind of ice cream I liked now. I told him the same kind I had liked since I was 12. He said, "Right, pistachio?" And then, after a pause, "I should have known that without asking." Priya brought takeout and sat on the nursery floor while I folded the baby clothes. She did not tell me to be grateful. She did not tell me to let it go. She held up the tiny cardigan and said, "This is cute, and your family was weird. Both things. Both things." Elise did not apologize. She sent photos of nursery organization ideas and pretended nothing had happened. My mother remained quiet except for one text about a sale on crib sheets. I answered, "We are covered, thank you," and left it there. The strangest part was that I enjoyed the baby gifts more after I stopped pretending they were birthday gifts. Once they were allowed to be what they were, they became sweet again. The duck towel was absurd and soft. The board books made me smile. The cloud machine played rain sounds that made Daniel fall asleep in a chair during assembly. The baby monitor sat in its box like a promise that one day we would be tired for a reason we chose. The gifts had not been bad. The labeling had been. That distinction mattered. A month later, my mother came over with soup. She walked into the apartment carefully, as if the walls might remember she had offended them. I was folding blankets at the kitchen table, because bending near the dresser had become an Olympic event. She set the soup on the counter. "I brought this for you," she said. I waited. She added, "Not for the freezer. Not for after. For lunch today, if you want it." It was the closest she had come to an apology. I looked at the container. Tomato basil. My favorite when I was sick as a child. My favorite still, apparently, if anyone thought to ask memory instead of the internet. "Thank you," I said. She nodded. Then she touched the edge of one folded blanket and said, "I think I forgot how lonely it felt." I did not speak, because I did not trust the room yet. She kept looking at the blanket. "When I was pregnant with you, everyone talked about you like I had already left, and only the mother remained. I thought that was normal. Maybe I helped make it normal for you." Her voice did not break. My mother's voice rarely broke, but something in it loosened. I sat down slowly. "It did feel lonely," I said. She nodded again. "I am sorry for calling you ungrateful." There it was. Small, late, not decorated, but there. I wanted to make it easier for her. I wanted to say it was fine, that hormones were high, that everyone meant well, that the gifts were lovely, that the whole thing had gotten too big. Those sentences lined up inside me like trained dogs. I did not let them out. "Thank you," I said instead. I needed to hear that. She sat across from me. For a few minutes, we folded blankets in silence. Not healed, not perfect, but honest enough to begin. When my daughter was born 6 weeks later, people did what people do. They leaned over the bassinet. They counted fingers. They said she had Daniel's mouth and my chin. They brought casseroles and onesies and advice in containers with lids that never matched. I was tired in a way that made clocks meaningless. I was also happy in a way that frightened me with its size, but I kept one rule. When visitors came in, Daniel asked them to wash their hands. Then he said, "Mara is in the chair. Say hi to her first." Some people laughed like it was a joke. He did not laugh back. Most adjusted quickly. My father kissed my forehead before looking at the baby. My aunt brought coffee exactly how I liked it. Priya arrived with a novel and a sandwich and said, "For the woman, not the role," which made me cry into the napkin. My mother came on the third day. She stood in the doorway with a pink gift bag and a nervous expression. "This is for the baby," she said, holding up the bag. Then she lifted a smaller brown paper bag from behind it. "And this is for you." Inside was pistachio ice cream packed in dry ice from the fancy market across town, the one she always said was overpriced. I laughed so hard I woke the baby. My mother looked horrified. Then the baby fussed, and I picked her up, and for a second the room became what everyone had promised it would be, full of love, full of attention, full of a new life, so bright it changed the light on every face. But this time, I was still in the room. That was all I had wanted, not to be first forever, not to be celebrated at the baby's expense, not to deny that children rearranged the center of a family. I only wanted the people who loved me to understand that a mother is not a wrapper you throw away after reaching the gift inside. On my birthday, every gift bag at the table had someone else's name on it. By the time my daughter arrived, I had learned to write mine back in.
Thank you for watching. If this story pulled you in, do me one favor. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so the next one finds you the moment it drops. Remember, nothing is ever just what it seems. See you on the next one.